Celebrities, movie makers, media moguls, and average people like you and me are all affected by a myriad of situations and circumstances. Work, school, family, the weather, and finally, the news. What goes on in our country and even our entire world can affect us in a variety of ways. It may change the way we think about the world, or it may spark a big social movement, such as the hashtag #MeToo movement. I know for me in my life, I've heard a lot about the Me Too movement, and I've seen people post about it on their social media. People have been fired over it. It's become such a big deal. So today I'm going to tell you about the Me Too movement because it's important to know what's going on in your world. Let's first discuss, I'm going to tell you what the Me Too movement is, who is involved in it, and how it has shaped the culture of our country. Let's first discuss what the Me Too movement is. The Me Too movement is a way for people to come out and share their stories of being sexually harassed. It's been around for a long time, but has only recently been as big of a deal with the hashtag. You may have heard in the news recently about Bill Cosby facing prison time because of accusations of being sexually harassed, and Brett Kavanaugh having accusations against him as well. It's really not only a way for people to share their stories, but to make sure that the people that have hurt them are brought to justice. Ashley Judd was invited to a meeting with Harvey Weinstein at his hotel in 1997. Shocked that he tried to get her in bed, she escaped. Instead of remaining silent, she spoke up immediately and spread the word. She then realized that people knew of his behavior, and it wasn't the first time that it had happened. People thought he was too powerful to try to stop. It's stories like these that have inspired the movement and kept it going strong. On October 15th, 2017, before she went to sleep, of course this is according to Time magazine, Alyssa Milano tweeted, "If you've been sexually harassed or assaulted, write Me Too as a reply to this tweet." When she woke up the next morning, more than 30,000 people had used Me Too. It became a place where victims could come together and share their stories in a safe environment. Now you know what the Me Too movement is. Now let's move on and discuss some examples of who is involved in the movement and how they have impacted it. Some examples of people involved in the movement are Ashley Judd and Taylor Swift. They have spoken out against people who have hurt them. Now, some of the accused also have big names. Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, and Brett Kavanaugh, as I mentioned earlier, even Donald Trump. According to Time magazine, the following people have either come out and shared about Me Too, or they have been brought out by accusers. Ashley Judd was harassed by Harvey Weinstein back in 1997 before her career took off. According to Dallas News, an attorney described Harvey Weinstein as using his position, money, and power to lure young women into situations where he could violate them sexually. Now, when Ashley Judd accused him, he denied these claims, saying that he never laid a glove on her. Now, Ashley Judd was not the only one affected by him. Taylor Swift complained after a radio DJ sexually assaulted her. He was fired and he denied these claims, and he sued her for millions. She countersued for $1 and won. If she hadn't spoken up about him assaulting her, he may have done the same thing or worse to someone else. Bill Cosby was accused of drugging and sexually assaulting a woman, Andrea Constant. His sentence hearing of 3 to 10 years in prison has showed people that it's becoming more and more difficult to get away with sexual harassment and assault. After Trump's inauguration, the Women's March followed the next day. The people's rage that Trump could express himself the way he did in the Access Hollywood tape that surfaced before the election and still be elected was what fueled the march. Many women, including a woman named Summer Zervos, spoke out against Trump and accused him of sexual harassment. First, celebrities were accused, and now our own president is fighting these claims. Who's next? According to the New York Times, a man in the 90s was accused of sexual harassment when he told a female coworker, "You were in my dream last night." He didn't mean it sexually, he said, but he was still affected by his actions. This is an older example of the Me Too movement, but it still shows that it's been a problem for a long time. Alyssa Milano's tweet only emboldened people to talk about it more often and put it in the news, and just to make a bigger deal about it overall. When people in high places speak out about the Me Too movement, it causes a chain reaction. People in fear no longer have to be in fear anymore. They can come out and share their stories and make sure that the accused are brought to justice. Now you know who has impacted the movement. Now let's talk about how it's shaped the culture of our country. When celebrities and people in power speak out against the Me Too movement, that shows the younger generation to be bold and stand up for justice and what they believe in. That has helped shape the culture of our country. Harvey Weinstein was fired after newer reports of sexual harassment and assault came in. So was Bill O'Reilly. According to the New York Times, 5 women complained about inappropriate behavior and harassment from Bill O'Reilly. Since then, he has been fired from Fox News. Today's youth will soon be entering the workforce, and these events help create a culture where they no longer have to be afraid in the workplace, and they can now speak out against injustices that they see every day. Another issue is that guilty people who are called out won't just own up to it, but the truth always ends up coming out. According to Vox.com, Asia Argento was accused of sexual assault by actor Jimmy Bennett. He claims he was 17 when it happened. Argento denied all these claims, saying they had only ever been friends. Bennett then came forth with evidence backing up his claims. The irony in this situation is that Asia Argento was one of Harvey Weinstein's accusers. This case just shows that power and people in positions of power don't have an excuse to not be held up accountable for their actions. Now you know how this has shaped the culture of our country. Today, we have discussed what the Me Too movement is, who has been involved in the Me Too movement, and how it has shaped the culture of our country. Now, knowing a little bit more about the movement, you know a little bit more about the news and what's going on in our world. People have lost their job and gone to court over this. And this is just some of what's going on, what I've told you today. It's stories like these that have kept the movement going. And I would encourage that as you hear more about the movement, you look into these people's stories and follow up on their testimonies. It could happen to anybody, and knowing about this movement could change your life. Thank you.